Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here. And we are coming to you from our studios at the Capital Region International Airport. But we're going to spend a little time with Glenn Stevens. He is the Executive Director of MichAuto and the Chief Automotive and Innovation Officer at the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. So, pretty popular day in your annual cycle was this week earlier. You recapped the Automobility Day at the Capitol. How'd that go?
Yes, we had a good day. We had a great day. I want to underscore how much we appreciate the legislators opening their office. And that is something people expect them to do, but it's a big task for them because there are multiple groups, as you know, that are going through Lansing every day with different advocacy needs and wants and wishes that they want the legislators to hear. And we cross those in the paths and the hallways. And so the legislators and the staffs were great. And then we also gave out our Legislator of the Year award to Senator John DeMoose, a very deserving recipient this year.
Oh my God! Well, congratulations to him and to you for having that relationship as well. So let's talk about some of the top priorities which are emerging from your Automobility Policy Roadmap.
Right. So what we decided late last year was in preparation for all the changes we know are coming with this election, we want to make sure that when we have a new governor, when we have a new House and a new Senate and new leaders potentially in those parts of the legislature, when we have a new Secretary of State, Attorney General, so on and so forth, that the auto industry is front and center with this is what we need to do to protect the industry, retain the industry, and grow the industry. Not that it's an afterthought, not that it's not top of mind. We want to make sure it's top of mind because it is the biggest contributor to our economy. It's also a platform that we can use to diversify our economy. So the auto industry is going to have a roadmap ready for actually not just the new governor, but the candidates for governor back in August when we know who they will be. We obviously know about Mayor Duggan as an independent, but we won't know for sure about the Republican and Democrat till August 4th.
So you talk about a really important synergy, and that's between state policymakers and the automotive companies. How do where do they posture? Where do they go to keep that balance and keep that top of mind?
If they're the large companies, and these are the very big OEMs and big suppliers, they have government affairs staffs. But that's the top of the pyramid. All the tier twos and the tier threes and all the suppliers, and even down to the small communities, they don't have those big staffs, which is why the MichAuto voice is so important. So we work with the large companies, the medium-sized, the small companies on a day-to-day basis to make sure that we are in their offices and we are talking about where the industry is and where it's going.
So when we look at that policy, what policy changes could be made to kind of ensure growth and investment?
The first thing is to understand the competitive forces, and there are many. They are AI and automation. They are China. They are policy roadmap changes. They are fuel economy and propulsion systems. So there are many forces. So understanding what the forces are, but we have to be prescriptive. We need a strong leader in the governor's office. We need a legislature that person will work with across the aisle. And we need a long-term vision for what economic development can do for this state across everything from our largest corporate citizens to startups.
Yeah. Well, I remember years ago being in DC when the automotive heads were there testifying that they wanted the cafe kind of relaxed, right? So regulatory issues have always been a big part of it. So tell me how we take care of that and still have the automotive industries do really creative stuff with EVs, et cetera.
So Washington plays a big role in the regulatory, but at a state level, it has to be about how do we give these companies the climate that they can grow. And that is both business, tax, talent, and long-term economic strategy that meshes with Washington, but Michigan can do a lot on its own to make sure we protect our automotive corporate citizens.
So let's talk about being named Legislator of the Year. And what kind of signal does that send to, say, business about the state's future direction?
So I think Senator Moose is a perfect example of somebody who will reach across the aisle, who's committed to the industry we have, and has a long-term vision for what the industry can become. And because of that, we chose him to be our legislator of the year, very deserving to do that. But what we want to also do is send a message to other legislators in the state. We need you to be able to reach across the aisle, and we need a leader and leaders that can do that.
Well said. And I think we're pretty much all aware that we need legislators who will reach across the aisle to get what's best for Michiganders.
Exactly.
Glenn Stevens, thanks so much for joining us. Glenn Stevens, Jr., Executive Director of MichAuto and the Chief Automotive and Innovation Officer at the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. Always good to see you, bud.
Thank you, Chris, for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. You've been watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman.